Next up on the show is Priscilla Moreno with PM Insurance Group, who helps small business owners and the self-employed find medical insurance. Priscilla, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So on the last one, we kind of stuck our toe in the water a little bit on this concept of fear when somebody's going to get into business or they're going to make decisions with respect to business. How did you kind of deal with that when launching your company, which had to have been an exciting, right? We can change that energy, right? Somebody asked an Olympic athlete about, aren't you scared when you just know they excited, right? They just turn that energy into something else. But so talk a little bit about how you dealt with that excitement, if you will.
Right. I think a lot of it too, when it comes to fear, if it doesn't scare you, your dream's not big enough. So I think I remember thinking about that. I'm like, well, instead of using my fear to keep me from playing the insurance game, I'm going to use it to drive me, because everything's going to be scary at the beginning, right? I love that quote, don't be afraid to suck at something new. And so I was like, well, you're never good at anything at the beginning. So I'm just need to look at everything from that perspective. I'm not going to be good at it right now, but I'm willing to be open and learn from it.
Yeah, I think don't be afraid to suck at something from the beginning. That's a very good point, because it's this fail forward mentality, at least in part as well. Don't be afraid to fall down flat or to have to eat some humble pie, or figure out you're doing something you aren't quite as cool or as good as you thought you were at the time.
Well, and I feel like we learn a lot more valuable lessons out of failure rather than success. Success is awesome.
Right.
But generally not a lot of lessons are learned from it, and can almost be detrimental if you just happen to accidentally succeed at something.
Right.
I saw it was a TikTok. I'll be honest where I get my information, okay? But it's a series, and it's where are these people who won the lottery now? And these people all just fell into millions, and basically I watched them all because I was on a rabbit hole, and they all lost every single penny because success comes at a cost, and if you don't pay the cost up front, you generally end up paying it in the back end.
And that's hard to fall from that, where you can buy everything and have everything, to not having, like entertainers and athletes and stuff that have a whole lot, and then they get used to a lifestyle and then they lose it. That's rough. I've never been through that myself, but I can imagine that'd be pretty awful.
Right.
So, but when you got started with all of this and you're kind of pushing through all of it, how long would you say that journey to, a measurable success took you, where you really kind of had to question everything that's going on, maybe deal with the emotional roller coaster of that? I
think it never goes away. I don't think you ever say like, oh, I don't have any emotional roller coasters anymore. I think you just learn how to get in front of it. You learn how to not react. You learn to, because you have all of this data. So when I first started I worked with a business coach. When I first started working with a business coach, the first thing they make you do is do a time log. And so I was like, wow, I'm losing all of this time by just being scared. I went back and said, 30 minutes of self-doubt, 15 minutes of worrying if, my bills were going to get paid. And all of that, when I went back and looked at it, I could use that time to pour back into my business. And so when I have those emotional roller coasters, I'm like, how much time am I losing? Let me pour that back into my business, call somebody that might connect with me, feel the same way. Somebody either that works in insurance or somebody that works in HVAC, they're going through the exact same thing. Call them and say, how do you overcome this? Or what does your day look like? Or how can I help you in your business? Because for me, it's the more that I give, naturally I'm going to be able to receive. So,
I've heard this thing about the fear of the thing is actually worse than the thing itself actually happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of my favorite exercises to have clients do, especially if they're dealing with that, I find, especially when I work with women, they deal with it a little bit more often than men. You guys seem to just keep on trucking without blowing your fears out on me. But when I work with my female clients, there's that, we're all women. And one of my favorite exercises though, is I have them write a success log, and I tell them go all the way back to the beginning and just write everything that you've done well, everything you've accomplished, everything that you're proud of down, written form. Don't leave it all up in your head. And so few of us have actually done that. I did it in my own business back before I became a coach. And that was what actually gave me the courage to step out and be like, am awesome. Actually, I do have the skills to figure it out. Even when the chips are down, I overcome it. I make something out of it. And that's been really powerful in a lot of my clients' businesses. Just give them that boost to say, you know what, things might suck right now, but consistently I do this to help overcome it.
Right. I think also what's helped me too is you think of somebody that's super close to you. So my sister's my absolute best friend. And I think of some of the negative talk that I was feeding to myself, and then I reworded it, saying it to her. And I was like, I would never talk to her that way.
That's really good.
Right. So why would I feed that information to me? So that helped me kind of break through some barriers as well.
Ooh, I got to use that for like, there's people I know in my life that they struggle with that self-talk.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that is a great example. I have not heard it put like that, but that's phenomenal.
I think it's hard for some people because, there are a lot of us not raised with that as like a prevailing thought process. Growing up, self-talk, the psychology of it just wasn't there. And it's very much more prevalent nowadays, especially, I'm raising young kids. And so now it's like, you've got to have them in a positive mindset. I'm like, my kids are going to have so many advantages, like good for them. But yeah, that shift from like, oh, this is mumbo jumbo. It's amazing if you can consistently do it, how big of an impact. And that's what you see in a lot of business books too. I mean, I read a lot of them, and a lot of them, they start immediately with a mindset piece.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And they always say, everything starts at the start of your thought. So you control your mind, you'll control the outcome. And that's huge. Anytime you get a bad thought, figure out, okay, how can I stop this or change this or make my thoughts better? Because that's where everything comes out from. That's where everything's...
This is where I think experience comes in. When you're in the entrepreneur world and you're going through things, you're going to have this. You're going to have the downside of things. You're going to have the self-doubt. You're going to have all of that. But when you go through it, you just keep pushing forward. And then you realize, okay, well, that wasn't really as devastating as I thought it might be.
Right.
So just speak to that a little bit as far as, do you have any examples of, situations, maybe non-specific examples where you come up against a situation that you really didn't want to go through, but went ahead and pushed yourself through it because you had to. Right. And then come out the other side, and how you felt about that?
I think so. When you say that to me, I think of there are no shortcuts to anything that you do. So for me, I always go back to, because I like to work out and I love fitness as well. So I can't just all of a sudden be strong in 6 months. Yeah. There's a process and time that it takes for that. So even if I go and I don't get any type of results, month 3 doesn't mean I quit. The only time you fail is if you actually quit. So for me, going through all of those processes within like my first few years, I was like, I know that there's not going to be a shortcut. I'm learning so much. And even when I felt like, and this is sometimes the robber of joy, is like comparing yourself to others. So even sometimes I'm like, they're just going so much quicker than me. I'm like, but I'm learning so much because I have so many setbacks. I'm learning so much. So when I get to this point, I've already learned it all. So then I can keep pushing those barriers and breaking through.
And that's where is really the destination, what you're after, or is it the journey itself? Because the journey is so much more enriching than the destination itself. Destination can be a little bit underwhelming.
Well, and there's no instant gratification. I think all of our general businesses kind of show that. Like you buy insurance, and like ideally you don't get hit by a bus tomorrow, so you just pay for the insurance until one day you get sick. And then same with bookkeeping. You pay for the bookkeeping so that your books are good to go comes tax season. You pay for business coaching so that you can pour into your business and see that investment come back. You pour into your marketing and your leverage so that you can see that come back. But none of it happens right away. I've
heard the objections to marketing. I've been through those myself too. But when you see it actually working, you're experiencing that next level results of marketing just by being diligent. And there's lots of examples of this, but that's just my example of seeing it from the social media side. It's like, wow, that's really kind of empowering to feel that, and satisfactory too. So, you pushing through whatever the challenge is, coming out the other side with the reward, whether it was what you anticipated or even not anticipated. Right. And then how you feel about that can power you to the next thing.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite athletes that I follow, she said that it's really hard to beat somebody that's having fun. So instead of calling it work, she's like, I got to go have fun today. So I think, just the little switch in language like that also helps a lot. So for me, when I go to my office, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm going to my office. Like I get to,
Yes.
I get to get in my car and have the opportunity to drive and help someone. Or I get to work in an air conditioning environment, HVAC, right? Where I have the opportunity to have fun today by having conversations instead of like, this feels like work.
And that also impacts a team as well. Speaking of fun, when they see you, as a leader, you're having fun, it naturally motivates them as well. I mean, you would be surprised how motivated a team and enlightened they are to work with you just because you're having fun and you're enjoying it too. Rather than saying, I have to work today. And they're like, well, I guess we have to work too because you're working. And it's like, we got to work.
Right.
So if you're having fun, well, we want to have fun too.
The image of that is the leadership is not the one with the whip behind the employees, right? It's the one in front.
Pulling.
It's the point person.
The pull that keeps you going.
And I think this kind of speaks on something we were actually talking about before we started recording this show, is talking about figuring out what it is that you truly enjoy to do and leaning into it. Because, I mean, your medical insurance, that's what you do, but that's not what you've talked about for the most part. You have fun by forming relationships and talking to people, and your vehicle to do that is selling medical insurance. So it adds value to their life, but you lean into the strength that is yours, which is connecting with people.
Right. Absolutely.
And I think that that's something that everybody can take away, is it doesn't necessarily have to be that what the business is your passion in life. Insurance may not, and I kind of doubt it is your passion in life, but it's the vehicle that allows you to do what you're best at.
Right.
And it can be any vehicle. We've talked to people who own maid services, who likes to clean. No, but if it's the vehicle that...
My wife likes to clean. That's not a sexist thing to say. I'm just
Jennifer's
saying.
listening to this being like, excuse me.
She's the one that would say that. She enjoys that, and more power to her. You know what I mean? And Maud likes to do bookkeeping. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
I mean, I'm serious when I tell you it's a blast. I mean, I wake up before, I haven't had an alarm clock in years. I just wake up far before anyone else ever does.
And that's the thing. You formed your business around a love of numbers, and therefore it's easy
that's
for
how
you
he
to
serves.
have fun.
Every time I see Maud, he's got a smile on his face.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're up to something or what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's not the insurance policies that wake me up in the morning. It's the people that I get to help. So
Right.
It reminds me of that episode of Friends where, like, what is it? Chandler is the guy, and he hates his job, and he goes and works every day, and he's like, "Do you all not hate your jobs?" And everyone else is like, "No, we love what we do." Like, well, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm lucky to, collaborate with a bunch of people who just really love what they do, and it comes out in the quality of their work and the way they present themselves to the world."
I've never been able to look at him the same after Band of Brothers came out. Did you see Band of Brothers?
I have not.
He
yet.
played the crummy lieutenant in there. He's just a
Oh.
weaselly dude. Ever since then, I'm like, I don't like this guy anymore. It's like the guy in Ghost who played the bad guy. You know what I mean? That killed Patrick Swayze. My wife can't stand the guy. No, it doesn't matter how good he is and whatever he does, but she can't stand him. So that's the downside of acting.
Yeah. I don't think his character on Friends is that super appealing either, to be honest. But that's
So
just
let's
me.
spend a couple minutes, Priscilla, with like surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yep, absolutely.
So talk about that.
So I think that's a good question too. So I think the more that you, for lack of better words, level up, right? The more that you level up, naturally, you're either going to have the people that are surround you, they're going to level up with you, or they're just going to kind of level out. So the more that you work on yourself, that's going to, for me, that is organically going to happen. With that being said, also, I think it is important to surround yourself with people that believe in you, because entrepreneurship and small business ownership can be very lonely at times. So when you're talking to other small businesses, or an entrepreneur, like I expressed earlier, if I have a hard day, that's usually my go-to. Like, hey, how's your day going? And then how can I add value to your day? Because if I want to contribute to their circle, I also have to work on myself. So if I want to attract, the $1 million mindset, I have to have the $1 million mindset. If I want to attract people that, can't wait to wake up in the morning, I have to be excited to wake up in the morning. So it starts with me, and then I can law of attraction attract that, and then understand that I have value to bring to that team as well.
And words of affirmation was one of your love languages.
It is.
Right. And that came out in the last show. And That's one of mine as well. That and cash. No, I mean, just kidding. But seriously, so we're a little bit more, we can take that more to heart in the entrepreneurial journey. I would say that is, at least in that respect, is super important to surround yourself with people that are going to build you up and not like the crap pot mentality where they're looking to tear you down.
Right. No, absolutely. I think a lot too, because I mean, in anything that you do, I mean, I did CrossFit. So many people were like, "Oh gosh, why are you doing CrossFit? You should just go. You just go to Lifetime Fitness. That's gonna be great." And then you start getting a lot of advice. And so then when I went into entrepreneurship, they're like, "Well, why don't you just get a 9 to 5? I love my 9 to 5." And I'm like, "Well, that's not your vision's different than my vision. So I have to understand that, And anything that you do where you're gonna accomplish something big, you're gonna get a lot of people who are like, that's kind of off from my vision. I'm like, that's fine because it's not your vision, it's mine." So.
Yeah. Imad, any thoughts on that?
I've got massive thoughts on that.
I can tell he's over there going, I'm just ready to bite on this.
And we all love quotes here, but a good one from Jim Rohn, if anyone knows who Jim Rohn is. He always says, you can take a lot of advice from a lot of people, and that's fantastic. You can take that all into your inventory and your own personal toolbox, but essentially it's not picking what's right or what's wrong. It's what, at the end, you want to come out with your own theory. So you collect all this information, you take it in, now but then you've got to come up with your route because that's what's going to work out for you. Not for, your friends or for anyone else, but specifically for you. And so I completely agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
Heather?
My favorite thing to say is there are no rules, just laws. Mm-hmm. So what your vision for your future is, there's really no rules around it. You can figure it out and find a new way to do it. And that's, I think there's a difference between having someone who can hear your idea, support it, and poke holes in it where you need to help it grow, and someone who's just going to completely tear it down. Because we've all experienced both. We've experienced that group of people we go to with our shiny new ideas, which we all have as entrepreneurs. It just naturally occurs when you're pouring into yourself and your growth. And for them to, resonate it back and help you really build it up, or just be like, that's a dumb idea. That's been done before. That's out there already. That you're never going to succeed. And that's just not the message you want to be pouring into yourself.
Right? No, and there's lots of opportunity for that, right? I mean, people are they're excited to come and tear your little ship down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's the glass half full or half empty kind of mentality, right? Yeah.
So I think of the guy that invented Ring.
Oh yeah.
He was on Shark Tank.
I was going to say.
Yeah, and everyone said it was a dumb idea.
Yeah,
he was one of the ones.
He has a commercial about that now.
Good for him.
Yeah, he was one of the ones that didn't get an investment. He didn't get a shark, and so he was able to go back as a shark. And so if you think about some of the most successful people, they've had so many people doubt them. I mean, in your life, you're going to be told no way more than you are going to be told yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I guess the idea of entrepreneurship is you're ahead of the curve, at least in your area that you're wanting to go in, is a sure sign of a successful entrepreneur. And everybody's going to be a little freaked out, I mean, Star Wars, when Star Wars first came out in 1977, everybody was like, I think the lead up to that, they were like, this is stupid. This is a stupid thing that you're doing. But he just kept, persevering. And now it's like, you can't get away from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think right now is an exciting time to be an entrepreneur because of how crazy everything is, the market shifting, everything's shifting around. But for those people that can hang on and stay the course, there's about to be massive amounts of opportunity to grow and scale and succeed, and new things are coming out. So there's just, if you can stay that one step, keep your ball, keep in the game.
Right.
So here's the deal. Cash is always flowing. Mm-hmm. So you just have to direct some of it your way. That's the deal. It's not overly complicated.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know it's your goal. I might.
No, I said the laws of gold.
You wait. Imad is going to be one of those. He's going to be a multi-billionaire one day. We're going to be like, oh, I remember when I
Imad,
knew
come on our podcast again, okay?
He won't take my calls anymore, though. I don't know what's going on.
Mark, we just got to channel some cash flow your way.
Please do. Yeah, I'm all good with that. All right, Priscilla, if people want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
So I'm very Googleable now. So Priscilla Moreno, the health agent, you'll be able to find me.
Nice.
Or you can call me at 210-705-3578.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Priscilla.
Thank you.
You want to wrap us up?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, I love the direction we went, even though we kind of went long on both shows, but it's a lot more of the entrepreneurial game. So, okay, as we wrap up the show, quick reminder to check out our latest podcast or catch video versions of the show on our website at satalkradio.com. That's satalkradio.com, and that's going to be it for us. Have a great week, and we will see you on the next show.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.